Hey guys, welcome back to Scuderia Car Parts. Today we're having a look at this Ferrari FF that we've done a stage 2 Novitec exhaust on. So that's to say it's a cat back. We've done the X-pipe, the rear silencers and the remote kits. What we'll do is we'll have a little talk through the bits and what they do, and then at the end we'll have a listen to how the exhaust sounds. As always, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, and we'd love to hear what you think about the exhaust in the comments below. So when this car arrived with us, we instantly noticed that something wasn't standard and it sounded a bit different to how we'd expect an FF to sound. So we got it on the ramp, we had a look, and what they'd done to the car is essentially the valves had been pinned open, so they were always open. And this gives me a really nice opportunity to talk about a modification that I'm regularly asked about and I really discourage people from getting. So often people will come to me and they'll say, Dill, I've got an FF, a Lusso, an 812, an F12, whatever it might be, and I just want to install the remote. And look, I will of course sell that to you if you really want it, but to my mind it's not the correct approach for two main reasons. The first one is the original exhaust on this car was never designed to have the valves open at idle. So it wasn't sonically tuned to have them open, and it doesn't sound that good. It sounds quite agricultural and quite tractory, and it just doesn't sound particularly good. It's certainly not the refined sound that you'd expect from a Ferrari V12. So that's kind of the first thing. And then the second thing is purely the functionality of it. So in very simple terms, let's say idle's 1000 RPM and the valves open at 3000 RPM. So you've gone and spent however much so that the car sounds different for 2000 RPM. And in reality, that's only ever going to be noticeable when you're kind of sitting in traffic. And I don't think you want your car to purely sound better when you're sitting in traffic. I think really this car's for you and you want it to sound good when you're blasting around on a B road. So once the valves open, it doesn't sound any different. The functionality of it is very limited because it's such a small range of the rev range that it changes, and it doesn't sound particularly good. So, we'll have a listen to how the car sounded at the beginning, and it certainly is slightly louder than a normal car would be, but you'll hear what I mean. It's kind of not the super refined sound that we would expect. To talk about what we've done specifically to this car, we've done what's called a stage 2 exhaust, and that's to say that we've done the rear silencers and the X-pipe. So stage 1 would be rear silencers alone, stage 2 is the introduction of the X-pipe, and then stage 3 would be to install either sport cats or D-cats. Now, stage 1 on its own isn't enough. It's a slight increase in volume, but it doesn't really give you the nice high-pitched sound. You need the X-pipe for that. But then similarly, the X-pipe on its own isn't enough. The interplay of those two parts is amazing, right? So on their own, they're good, but not fantastic. But then together, they're just more than the sum of their parts. That is the true sports exhaust for this car, is the X-pipe and the rear silencers. If you live somewhere where you have no neighbors and you don't have to worry about noise or anything like that, then of course, getting the cats out or getting sport cats into this, it sounds amazing. But in most people's experience, it will just be too loud. It's slightly obnoxious. Your neighbors are going to hate it. So this is what we have recommended for years. We've done tons of them and everyone absolutely loves them. And then the good thing is that, say this guy has this exhaust on it and he wants more volume. We've then got the headroom to introduce a bunch more volume via Sport Cats D-cats, which is really, really good. But yeah, I guess what we'll do, we'll have a listen to the car as it was before with the valves pinned open so you can get kind of an idea. And then we'll have a listen to this car with the stage 2 with the valves closed and open. And you can let us know what you think. I think, as I said, it's quite agricultural and a bit burbly with the valves open on the original. But once you've got the control of the valve system with the Novitec setup, it's absolutely unparalleled and we love it. So let us know what you think. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next one.
So the difference between the two exhausts is actually quite nuanced. So I thought I'd give you an idea of kind of specifically what to listen out for. The first version is the standard exhaust with the valves pinned open. So this is essentially the same as having the remote kit alone with the standard exhaust. And you'll notice that it's quite muddy and kind of burbly, and it's not particularly defined. And in fact, you'll only hear one kind of high-pitched V12 F1 style thing when you're right up in the rev range. So, as far as we're concerned, this version of the exhaust is quite indistinct, and installing the remote gives you an outcome which isn't exactly what we'd look for. So let's have a listen. Now what we'll do is we'll have a listen to the car with the Novitec exhaust installed, and the first thing to note is that we'll start with the valves closed, and the car's very quiet, which is brilliant because it means, you know, when you're driving through town or starting the car in the morning or leaving early in the morning, you're not going to kind of wake the dead, which is fantastic. But then as soon as we open the valves, you'll notice that the sound of the engine is far more distinct. The high pitch is sort of accentuated a lot more than it was on the standard exhaust. And ultimately, it's just a much more refined and more F1 style exhaust note than it was with the original exhaust in place.